morning and welcome to Rigg Radio. My name is Tammy Thomas and I'm your host. And today I'm really excited. I say that every week, but I'm really excited to have Mimi Sanders here with us today. She is with Ideal Testing Services. And so we're going to learn a lot about the services that they provide. They do a lot of like DNA and drug screens, and now they're doing some additional training programs that we're interested in. So I'm really excited to have Mimi. So first, let me say welcome, Mimi.
Hi, thank you, Tammy.
So I'm really happy to have you here. And generally, what I do with our guests is we start with you because you're representing a lot your organization, yourself as far as your personal and professional development. So we want to kind of get to know you so that as we go through and chat, we become friends and people understand just who you are and how you are an expert in your area. So let's first talk about you, like where you're from, where you grew up, where you went to school, a little bit of that.
My name is Mimi. I'm originally from Gary, Indiana. I lived in Indianapolis now for a little bit over 10 years now. I grew up on the west side of Indianapolis. I came here in middle school, and so I continued on through high school. I graduated from here as well. And I just thought about going back to college.
Okay, what high school did you graduate from?
I graduated from Pike High School.
Okay. Are Pike Red Devils or?
Yes.
Okay, I actually live in Pike, but I don't know the mascot or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so you're kind of a local girl by way of Gary. That's great. So when you were in high school, were there like vocational programs or some of the programs that kind of got you into healthcare? I know some of the career centers in high schools have things relative to professions in healthcare or maybe industrial jobs or whatever. So did Pike have anything like that that got you interested in healthcare?
At that time, they did not. High school was a little bit different than it is now. So it was more so like your culinary cooking classes, arts and crafts, things like that. So healthcare actually came about as I started to have children.
Okay. So as you start to have children, so let's talk about that a little bit. So you wanted to be able to nurse your kids back to health, or what got you there?
Yeah, it's when you're becoming a parent, it gets a little bit scary. You're responsible for these smaller people, and things go wrong. They get sick, they catch colds, or maybe you have family members that may have like some healthcare concerns, and they sound really scary when you're not in the industry.
That's true. That's true because there's all the language that's for lay people. We don't know what that means, and we don't know what the real scary things are versus okay, this doesn't really mean much.
Exactly.
Because that was kind of me when my girls were small. It was like I don't really know, and you have this whole human being that you're responsible for, and you don't know when it's serious or should I go to the doctor, should I go to the hospital? And what happens a lot, and I see that with a lot of people that we work with, is that visit to the emergency room becomes like their doctor's appointment versus let's regularly get kids to the doctor and do checkups and do physicals and all that. But it's scary when you have a baby and you don't know what to do, or even just a toddler or a young child. You just go to the emergency room because in your mind, it's an emergency.
And that's exactly what I did. And so I was just like, this can't be the way to do it. Because
Okay.
sometimes it was nothing.
Yeah. I did that sometimes. It was nothing. But then in the back end of that, of course, you spend a lot of money, but it's like I was better safe than sorry. So
Right.
that's why just knowing about getting into healthcare and getting that understanding, and you were driven there just by need because you were raising your kids and you wanted to know when something was urgent and when it wasn't.
Exactly.
So how did you start in healthcare? What was your first thing?
Well, my very first thing was medical assisting. I had a lot of experience in just customer service, and I landed a position in a call center that was pharmacy based. So, just talking about different conditions and medications, it made me want to know more. Like what are these medications for, and what are these conditions that I'm talking about? Because you receive training for a job, but it's more so to do the job, and I was looking for a career.
Okay, and I'm glad you said that because the job and career aren't always the same.
Right.
So you were working as customer service in a pharmacy environment.
Yes.
But and I will just say, generally, we have people that go through like pharmacy tech training, and we have people that do CNA training. Maybe they become a QMA, and then they kind of transition into maybe wanting to be a medical assistant. So you just jumped all that and went straight to medical assisting.
I did. So I went and signed up for college. I had sang a commercial for Brown Mackie College, and I was just like, I want to go to school. I'm looking for a career. I don't really know where to start, and so I sat down with an advisor, just talking with her and sharing my experience and what I wanted in the future. She actually recommended it. She was like, I know you're wanting to sign up for healthcare administration, dealing with like paperwork and things like that, but you would fit better as a medical assistant. And
Okay.
so I thought, like, no, but then I went ahead with it and it was the best decision that I ever made.
Okay.
That is home for me.
You know what? I'm really happy to hear that because, we have a lot of people, and I will say, even in my own experiences, when I was talking to like high school guidance counselors or even college counselors, the things that I kind of thought I might want to do, I was kind of talked out of some of those things. So it's really nice to hear that somebody actually recognized your natural talent, skills, and abilities and recommended something that you bought into, and now it's a success.
Yes.
I can very clearly remember somebody tell me, "Oh, you're probably not good for that. You should probably do this." And in hindsight, I thought, I listened because I thought that person had
Mhm.
my best interest at heart, but they really did not. So
Oh,
it's really nice to hear that story, because that's kind of what we try to do at Mary Rigg. Our career coaches are really trying to figure out, the best place for people to go next. So,
yeah.
okay, so then you decided that you were going to be a medical assistant. Now, where did you do your medical assistant training?
I did my medical assistant training at Brown Mackie. It was a 15-month program, and then you did 1 month of externship at a site with the potential to be hired.
Okay.
And so I went through that whole course.
Okay. And then did you get in, like when you said with the potential to be hired, you got hired, did you do an externship or any work experience, or you just went straight to the job after that?
Yeah, I did an externship. It was for 1 month, and I didn't get hired at that specific place at the time. They were looking for someone for the phones, but I actually landed a position with St. Vincent as a brand new medical assistant. So
Okay. So give us a day in the life of a medical assistant. What is the work that you do?
So typically medical assistants work on average Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. When you're coming into the office, what you're doing is preparing for patient visits. Sometimes that involves just kind of prepping like your supplies, whether that be for a procedure. Maybe someone's going to have something like a pap smear, or maybe even just a general checkup. You want to make sure that you have the correct blood pressure cuff, pulse oximeter, which it monitors your oxygen and your heart rate. You really want to have a good stethoscope, just because vitals are really important. It's a very important part of the assessment and can help the doctor even diagnose you.
Okay. So that's not really administrative. That's more patient care type things.
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking, like, when I go to the doctor, that's probably the medical assistant that's walking me in, unfortunately making me get on that scale,
Exactly. Yes.
looking my blood pressure, and they initially bring in and then start asking me some general questions. Okay, what are you here for today? Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
So when you said that you first started working, you were doing customer service in
I
that
was.
pharmacy environment. So that's customer service, being a medical assistant, right?
Exactly, like that you can't I feel like you can't be a medical assistant without it.
Yeah. Yeah, because that sets the tone. If you go to the doctor and your medical assistant's kind of funky, doesn't have a good
Yeah,
attitude, and they don't want
yeah,
to be at work that day, well, guess what? I don't really want to be at the doctor today either. So,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
so then but besides from being a medical assistant, you're a CCMA, which is certified medical assistant. So does that mean you have expanded duties? What is that about?
Yeah, so I'm a certified clinical medical assistant, and that just means that my area of expertise is clinical. I do a lot of administrative work. I have worked in the homeless population, where a lot of that is something like case management. You're usually pointing them to referral sources, maybe helping them get connected to primary care, because we're kind of like a one-stop shop. We give you the basic care you need to pass you on to continue care somewhere else. And so, just typically during that time, like a lot of them need like vaccination. So I was recognized as a vaccine coordinator just because I gained a lot of knowledge just learning about disease prevention and just administration. phlebotomy is my favorite thing to do. And
Ooh,
so I became an expert in phlebotomy. And that it just takes a lot of courage, and you just start with putting your patient at ease. I feel like customer service really helps with that. In terms of me being clinical, that is something that maybe someone who works at the doctor's office is okay with being in that environment, or they like it, but they're not really wanting to draw anybody's blood, or they're not wanting to be that hands-on. I don't mind it. I really like it. And I know how important these testings are. So I just try to even advocate for some of the newer staff, because I've been recognized as a preceptor trainer as well. So that
awesome.
just shows that, I do have that clinical knowledge with blood sugar testing, you name it.
Okay, that's awesome. And I have to just say, when it's come time for me to have to give blood for anything, I need somebody with your attitude coming in. Because sometimes people come in and you can just see in their face, I just need to get this blood, get in
Mhm.
here. Don't start that being scared stuff. I don't have time for that. I'm getting these 5 vials of blood and move it along, sugar. So I appreciate when I have somebody that's got your attitude, because I'm a
Yes.
baby when it comes to needles. I have to confess, whenever I have to get blood work done, I'm nervous about it. So,
Right.
so yeah, I just appreciate, you sharing that bit about you and that bit about your job and your career, because that's very important. People need to
Thank
understand
you.
that the people that are walking you into that doctor's office, they didn't just show up and just say, I want to go work here. You've gone through some training and you kind of put some effort into your job and you're taking it serious.
Yes.
Perfect. So we're going to take our first break now that we've learned a little bit about Miss Mimi, and we're going to come back and get into the little bit about Ideal Testing Services. So we'll be
RadioNext.tv. What a wonderful episode here today with Mimi Saunders, Ideal Testing Services. And we'll be back in about 4 minutes, and we're going to bring you some more great information about this great program over at Ideal Testing Solutions, RadioNext.tv. All community, all the time. Oh, yeah, we are live this morning, streaming live from Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center. Want to remind you, August the 24th, RadioNext.tv will be on full display with a few of its great community partners. We have Community Action Greater Indianapolis, KG, and they'll be having their grandparents 3K, 5K walk. And we're going to be raising funds about the grandparent program that we do each and every year, going into the school systems and daycare centers, making sure that our young people have some mentors and role models from the senior persuasion that will take place between 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And then yours truly will be live at Douglas Park, a safe house, Alicia Bell, and the great initiative that they are doing over at Douglas Park, raising money for the young people in I call it the aging out of foster care, 18 to 22 years of age. They need jobs, they need financial literacy, they need homes, places to live in now that their safe haven has been taken away. So we're going to be doing that live. Right now, you're listening to Rig Works Radio with Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center. Mimi Saunders, Ideal Testing Solutions, is on there giving some great information about what you need to know if you're taking your loved one or yourself in to get tested on basic things. We'll be right back. RadioNext.tv. You can take it away. RadioNext.tv. You're listening to Rigg Works Radio. Mimi Saunders, Tammy Thomas, live from Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center.
So Mimi, we talked about you, learned how you got into healthcare. Very impressive, talking and learning about you and how you got into becoming a CCMA. I think for all of our listeners, we'll have a different perspective and think of that CCMA that's issuing us into our doctor's appointments moving forward. So thanks so much for sharing that. That was very interesting. And I really want to share that with the people that come through Mary Rigg that are interested in that training. And by all means, if you don't mind, I might be inviting you to be a featured special guest. And talk to our participants, because I think your story is beautiful.
Thank you, Tammy. I'd be happy to come.
Well, lovely. Just be on the lookout. So let's talk a little bit about ideal testing services. So, I know just a small bit about some of the things that you do, because you do a lot of different things. But I've got a list here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those, and you explain to me what those tests entail and how people go about getting them, or if they're walk-ins, if they're referrals, or what happens. So the first one I want to ask about is you do the DOT 5-panel urine drug screen, and that's for employers, or how does that work?
Yes, we do the 5-panel and the 10-panel. That's for pre-employment or just for continued employment. We are open for walk-ins and appointments.
Okay. And if they're for employers, then employers cover the cost of that, or does the person getting the test cover the cost of it?
Typically, we would have an employer prepay for it, but maybe someone's like an entrepreneur, and so it's their own business, so they could pay out of pocket for it.
Okay. So, and those are the DOT things. And I see on your list you have a non-DOT. So what's the difference in those?
Well, the DOT is specifically for our CDL trained drivers, and then the non-DOT, that one is specifically for like just your pre-employment screening or continued employment.
Okay. And so then, do employers contact you if they're if they're hiring a group of people and they say, we've got a class of 10 people that are going to complete their CDL training, would they be somebody that would contact you and say, we want to send them to you? Or do they let their employees pretty much decide on their own where they want to go and get their drug screen done?
Yes, we'd be happy to have a group like that come on over, or what we are looking to do is actually expand on like coming on site to get that done too.
Okay. So then there's a 12-panel rapid test. I don't know what that is.
The 12-panel rapid test, that's the oral testing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have oral drug screening as well.
Okay. So then I see here where it's got minutes. So it says 30 minutes. That means you get the results back in 30 minutes, or?
Yes, a lot of our testing is called point of care testing, and that is our rapid result testing. Because we are ClearWave, we are able to do a bunch of different tests that we are able to get the results back instantly.
Okay, I gotta write that down. Point of care, that's a term I'm not familiar with.
All right.
So then you've got two different paternity tests, a legal and non-legal. Now, what's the difference in those?
Well, the legal one is typically court ordered. And so we're just a site that we could obtain that specimen and get the results back to the court systems. And then the non-legal is just someone that's deciding that on their own.
Okay. So, and there's a big difference in price. So the court ordered ones, are people paying for those by themselves? Because that's pretty pricey. That's $400. So do they pay for those themselves if the court orders it?
Typically, it's factored in to the court situation. There could be court costs, and then those would entail, but the state is handling all of. They're the ones that's ordering it, and it's going to be done regardless because it is an order. So
they don't pay out of pocket, but it's rolled into whatever their legal fees are.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm just wondering if that would be something that would cost somebody to maybe not, well, the court order, they have to do it. But I didn't know that you have to do this and then you also have to pay for this. But if it's worked in, they're paying for it, whether they know it or not.
Exactly.
Okay. Because the non-legal's half the price, $200. So if you just want or need to know, then you can do that.
Exactly.
Okay. And it looks like both of those tests are just 45 minutes. So you know right off the bat. So it's not like a Jerry Springer, one of the shows where you got to wait and and the father is, or the mother is, or whoever, right then and there.
Right.
Okay. And so, and those are specific paternity tests, but what about if somebody just wants to know if they've got some DNA match, because maybe they want to be a donor of some sort, a medical donor to somebody. They want to find out, we've got this sister that came up. Maybe you didn't know you had her, or a brother, and now they need something, that you need to have a DNA match. Maybe they need a kidney. Maybe they need something. Is that too much for what you do, or could you?
Yeah, that's way out there. The hospital typically keeps on record different blood types, and then that will come into part. They keep that on file. So if you, like, for women, when they become pregnant, they can learn about their blood type at that point, but the hospital kind of handles that part.
Okay, and so you wouldn't be able to determine anybody's blood type from having a test
Right.
with you. Okay. So now there's something else that this is new. I've never heard of this, an immigration DNA test. Now, what exactly is that?
Immigration DNA testing. Sometimes they're just wanting to know, like, maybe the percentage of the ethnicity. Maybe they're not for sure, like, what background they actually come from. And so it's kind of like that known DNA testing where you do the mouth swab, you send it in, and then it tells you, like, oh, well, you have this percentage of, like Hispanic Latino, or you might be this percentage of Caucasian or African American, and so on, like that.
Okay. So people on their own just want to kind of get that test just on their own to kind of
Yeah.
really figure out something personal. Okay. So I've
Yeah.
not seen that before, but that's worth knowing. And personally, actually, we will share that here at Mary Rigg.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
new.
pretty popular.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't see a cost for that. It just says it varies. So what does that varies on the cost mean?
It just depends on how the testing actually goes. Sometimes maybe it's the specimen collection, or maybe how often we have to have you come in to have that redone. So it just varies. It depends on the severity of the situation. Like, if it's you and your family members, then of course the price probably be different. Or maybe we want to work out some additional services included in the cost.
Okay. And so would that be an oral thing? Would that be a blood thing? Would that be
Yes.
I mean, how does that, what do you use for that?
It is an oral testing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it takes an hour.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So then I see that you have fingerprint testing, FD fingerprint testing.
The fingerprinting is just more so like another pre-employment thing. For certain jobs, you may have to get your fingerprint and your background done, because we offer background testing as well. So those are a lot of our employment screening testings that we offer.
Okay, and then this last thing is alcohol oral instant testing.
Yeah.
What exactly is that? Just testing to see if you've had something to drink, or like if you're on probation maybe or something and you're not supposed to drink. And so that's an oral test?
Exactly. Yep. It's an oral testing. And then, sometimes jobs will order it. If you've maybe had an accident, or they suspect that you're under the influence, they would order that testing if they suspected alcohol.
Okay. So then what's the range? So for instance, if somebody was having an alcohol test, does it just show up within the last 24 hours or the last 48 hours, or how long has it been? How long would you have had to have some drink or some alcohol before that test maybe wouldn't show positive? I don't know if that's the right way to ask that question.
Yeah, because so what it is, it measures. So you'll blow into it, and it measures like the percentage of the alcohol level. So that's what they're typically looking for, if any alcohol is present at all. And it's iffy, because then you have your mouthwashes that have the alcohol in it too. So it's just based off of a number. If you shoot in a specific range, then it alerts that, you're probably under the influence. This is not just using some regular mouthwash.
Okay. So, and what about things like medicines? Like if you're Tylenol or not Tylenol, NyQuil or something, does that play into it? Because I don't know if there's alcohol in there or what chemicals are in there, but I've heard a lot of stories from my participants. Oh, well, I had a cold and I just got finished taking a bunch of NyQuil, or I took Dayquil or whatever. Does that come to play at all in any of this testing?
Right. And then it just goes back to that range. If you're in that higher range to where you're presenting as you're using alcohol, then it's going to be more than your average cough syrup, because even with cough syrup, you're at 10 milliliters as an adult. So if you're exceeding that, that could be signs of substance abuse too, because it is unfortunately one of those things that people will use to kind of cope with whatever's happening in their life.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, people. So, that is something. Okay. So then seeing something else that you guys also provide is that, and it's being a notary or background checks and I-9 verification. What services do you provide there?
Yeah. So if you need documents notarized, we'll do that too for you. And we kind of did touch on the fingerprinting and background. It's just like pre-employment things. Maybe you're working somewhere where they're wanting to make sure that you're a good candidate.
Okay, so you guys do a lot of different things. I mean, just from the title of Ideal Testing Services, it is ideal, and you're doing a lot of work. So, and a lot of good work too. I think you might be one of the best kept secrets in town. People don't really know about you.
Exactly.
Tammy, Tammy, that's why I stepped in. I said, boy, this sister's unloading some information. I said, we had to take a break on this one and exhale and get your ink pad back in your pen and get ready because we've got a second half of this great show. Great work, ladies. And we're going to come back. Ideal Testing Solutions live with Tammy Thomas on RigWorks Radio. We'll be right back. RadioNext.tv, Jumbo Love. I am live this morning, and we are having just a great conversation today. Ideal Testing Solutions is live with RigWorks Radio, and we're going to be telling you all about some great information coming up on the RadioNext.tv platform. I told you about the kickball tournament. Alicia Bell is listening in and welcome in a safe house if you're checking out what we're doing today. Also, my brother Daryl Hill and Generals for Life will be live raising money for nonprofit organizations. If you're a nonprofit and want to find out more, please give me an email at thecommunityrules@gmail.com. And you can reach me in Facebook, Jumbo Love, RadioNext.tv, all community all the time, and Community Rule Nonprofit Network. We'll be right back with Tammy and Mimi with more on this great episode of RigWorks Radio. Sharing with you RigWorks Radio live every Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And You can catch out all of the great events taking place at Mary Rigg at maryrigg.org. That is no S on Riggs, right, Tammy?
No S. We will not get your information. It's rigged.
You will be out in cyberspace with nothing left. And while before we come back on, please, Mimi, give your email address and contact information.
It is M as in Mary, IYAHRAS for Sam at gmail.com.
So Mimi, I pulled from your site some frequently asked questions. And so for those that are listening, and if you've been assigned or told to go and have some background check or a DNA test or a drug screen or whatever, you need to know what to have. Because I think that, maybe if you've not done it before, you don't know what to expect and you don't know what to do. I know that once before, this is kind of funny, but once before I had to do a pre-employment drug screen and it was a urine thing and I didn't know and I didn't have to go, you know what I mean? And they were giving me water and I think I was all worked up and it just didn't work out. So, I think that I just didn't know what to expect because it was the first time I had ever done anything like that. And I just thought, okay, this will be easy, but it wasn't easy because I didn't know what to expect. So some of your questions, one of them is, what should a person bring with them to a drug screen or alcohol screen?
For a drug screen or alcohol screening, you do want to bring the requisition form, and that's just a form that your employer should give to you or by email or printed off form. And then just bring your state ID or your work ID if you don't have your state ID, but typically we would like for you to have your state ID.
Okay, because we need to make sure that you are who you say you are. And then this is just kind of something, I don't know if it's ever happened, but people have tried to beat the system if they're doing like a urine screen, and I don't know if there's a way to cheat, but I've heard some stories. I'm not quite sure if they're true. What's the protection or what's the way to make sure nothing like that happens?
If you are a recognized facility for something like DOT or any like pre-employment drug screening, they typically have it very strict. In the restroom, there is no access to like flushing the toilets, or use of water. Like, so we have to tape off the faucets and shut off the water. And so it's going to be real hard to get something, to dilute anything. Because I've heard a lot of stories too. So that's just some of the safety measures we take. We have you lock all of your personal items into a locked cabinet, and then you just go in to give the specimen. And then after we collect, we'll have you wash your hands and things like that.
Okay, because this was many, many years ago, but I did know of a guy that was trying to get a job at the Postal Service, and turns out his urine said he was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so somehow he was able to get that urine into the test. And I don't know if the same precautions and measures were in place then that maybe we have now, but, I've just heard some horror stories about, some things that people have done. So then one of the other questions from your frequently asked questions on your side is, what happens during a drug and alcohol screening?
During the drug and alcohol screening, again, we just, we have you lock away your personal items and things like that. You bring out the specimen, and then we have the person that's bringing it out to actually go ahead and label, seal it off themselves. And, just watch us. The same cup that they pull is the same specimen that we expect. We even like document the specimen cup number and things like that, just to make sure that it's not mishandled or mixed up.
And that gives them some security because, sometimes if people get a result that they don't expect, then they might say, oh, well, you got me mixed up, or somebody didn't do this correctly, or wasn't labeled. Then maybe that was somebody else. But if that person's actually doing that, putting that label on there, then there's that piece of knowledge of, no, you did this. This was your sample and you labeled it and got it prepared for evaluation or testing.
Exactly.
Okay. So is there anything they can do to prepare for it?
I would say, if become really familiar with your workplace policy, because it would state in there that you would be subject to blood, urine, or saliva. And you just want to know that way, if you're ever sent out to have something like that done, you'll know that, okay, I need to drink water, or, I shouldn't have indulged in any type of, alcoholic activities before work and things like that. But just come, with your ID, your requisition form, and then it's an in and out process, really. It doesn't take
Okay.
long at all.
Okay, so what about, there used to be like a hair follicle test or something. Is that still something or no? Or
A lot of jobs are moving away from that, and I don't know if it's just the cost of like the processing with the laboratory or what, but we do offer that as well. That's a really good one, Tammy. We do offer that drug testing through hair samples. I mean, and it's quite a bit of hair. Like you need more than an inch of hair, and so we offer it if an employer is, if you're subject to that type of testing, we do have that available as well.
so, I hate to say it, but I'm going to go there. When we talk about hair follicle testing, because we're doing a lot with hair now. So if somebody comes in and they've got a lot of hair and you need to do a hair follicle test, how do you get to their actual hair if they're doing a protective style of some sort?
You just have, for one, that's not a testing that you can turn down. And we learned that, throughout our training and recertifications, that we're going to get what we need. If we have to take it from your legs, under
Oh,
your
okay.
arm.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to go more personal than that, but that is a testing that you do have to provide a pretty significant sample of. And I mean, the hair follicle testing, it goes back. I mean, it goes way back. It goes back more than 90 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when you just talk about hair on your legs and that, I just thought that, wow, that's brutal.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. I was thinking that too.
Okay, fine. And then we talked individually about how long it takes to get the drug result, the test results, and that's usually pretty quick. Within 45 minutes, an hour. So it's not you got to wait a week or 2 weeks or whatever situation. And I do think that back when I was having and when I had to do one, it did take about 7 days to get your results back, but we're past that now.
Yeah, so we have the instant results that pop in, but as to your point, we have had myths go around or things said about like, oh, you can dilute it or you can do that. So it right here, you get your negative or positive, but it's still being sent out to the lab, and that's the reason for packaging it up the way that we do, because we're gonna find it.
Okay, yeah, because I do remember having to actually provide those tests
Yeah.
for employees, and I had to send it like in a sealed package within X number of hours and put it in the drop box and
Yeah.
all of that. So even if you get a negative result immediately, is it possible that once it goes through that process, your result could be different? Okay. Okay. And then, so when you get your reports, like you're going to give somebody their immediate report, but if the thing that you send out, how is that reported? Does that go back to the employer? Does that go back to the individual? How is that reported?
Yeah, that goes directly back to the employer. The individual should receive the results. Typically, like your LabCorps, they have you set up a patient account, and they'll email you the results as well. But it does go back to the employer.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that prepaid for it, so they'll get it back.
Okay, that makes sense. So then I saw something else on your site about mobile drug testing. What is that about?
We will come on site if that's what the employer wants. We will come on site to provide those drug testings.
Okay, and that's primarily just for employers. You wouldn't go and meet up with an individual person because they're at work and do their drug testing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's employer based. That's good information to know because we could share that with some of the employers that we work with.
Yeah.
So as far as the testing overall, do you have any, we're going to move on to some other stuff, but just, would you want to share any other insight about testing? We talked about how to prepare. We talked about how you do it. I don't know. I get nervous at just the thought of it because to me, I mean, I guess I have nothing to hide, but I feel like it's a little invasive, but but do you have anything else that you might want to share about, your testing services or anything?
You're right, Tammy. It's like going through the airport. You don't have anything, but you're like hoping you make it through. I don't have anything in specifics. Those are just all of the many things that, as you said, to your point, we're ideal. And our newest thing is phlebotomy training. So.
Okay. So we're going to take our last break, another break. And we're going to get into the training aspect of this. We're going to talk about the.
Tammy, I'm gonna just tell you this. I watch a lot of Dateline, and I told you they can go back 30, 40 years on you. If you're doing anything that you have to be tested for, forget about it. I mean, it's over. Those days are over. And Mimi, I just want to say this just by listening. I guess those post-pandemic days are over, where
Oh
we can
yeah.
let things slide. And it seems like they're coming back harder and heavier than before now to make sure that
Yeah.
they get qualified applicants. So that's just my take on listening. And I love this conversation. We'll be right back. RadioNext.tv, you are listening to RigWorks Radio. And we're going to come back and we're going to conclude this great, great show today, giving you information and awareness about what you maybe need to understand if you're wanting to go into the workplace. They are not playing anymore, people. And I know you used to be able to slide by and they say no drug test, but now uh, background checks, drug tests, all of it's going down. We'll be back. RigWorks Radio. RadioNext.tv. RadioNext.tv. You're listening to RigWorks Radio every Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.radio-next.tv. Tammy and I are actually going to be in conversation about bringing RigWorks to the public. That means we're going to bring RigWorks Radio to you and your organization, your church, whatever it is you're doing that is building a stronger community, how we can amplify that. Don't forget, we will be live at Douglas Park. Alicia Bell, a safe house, will be live with Jumbo Love out at Douglas Park, August the 24th, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Get your kickball team together and come on out. We're raising funds for another great organization, making sure that our young people are being taken care of properly, after they age out of foster care. Job workforce development programming is needed, mentor programming is needed. We need resources for food and housing. So join us out there August the 24th, Douglas Park, 3 p.m., 7 p.m. Getting ready to get it back to the ladies. RadioNext.tv. So join us out there August the 24th, Douglas Park.
All right, Mimi, let's get back into it. So let's talk about the training piece. We've talked a lot about the ideal testing that the testing that ideal testing does, but let's talk about the training piece. So there's something new. There's phlebotomy training, and you mentioned that you also are a phlebotomist. You know how to take blood, and are you one of the instructors? Are you the instructor for phlebotomy training?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So let's talk about what a phlebotomist is, what they do, what that training looks like.
A phlebotomist draws blood, and as a medical assistant, you automatically inherit that skill. And so, because that is my favorite thing to do, I've just taken it really serious, and I've worked to perfect on my medical expertise, whether that is the hard sticks or the rolling veins. I've done so many years of it that I am now eligible and able to be an instructor. And so at this point in life, it only takes about 6 weeks to become a phlebotomist.
Oh, okay. So what does that training look like? Is it classroom? Is it clinicals? Is it practicing on each other? How does that go?
Yeah, so it's a combination. So it is some classroom book material, just to develop the understanding of patient safety and prevention of any type of diseases or bloodborne pathogens. And then there is a hands-on training portion of it, just with, getting your supplies ready and the correct identification of veins, because a lot of people will look at their arms and say, "Oh, I see a vein right now." And when I took phlebotomy, my teacher, she hated to hear that, because you could see veins, you could see arteries, but we never want to go for something that we see. We just kind of want to palpitate for the vein and make sure that we're not hitting a tendon and injuring someone. Phlebotomy.
I'm that patient that walks right in and says, "Now this is my best vein right here." but it usually is. But because number one, I'm terrified, and I know I can live through this vein. But if you start going into my hand, because sometimes it's hard to find a vein.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown and die if you don't.
Yeah, the hand veins are, the skin is just really different, and so it doesn't feel the same way. And it's also a certain way that you have to draw blood even in the hand as well. So that is the hands-on portion of it. You get your supplies, and then we're able to proctor the exam. So you will leave the training as a certified phlebotomist ready for work, and because I'm the instructor, you'll be ready.
Oh, so okay. So then I'm going to go back. So you're actually taking your certification exam at the time that you finish training.
Yes, when I went to school, it wasn't that way. You went to school and then you went on to do that part on your own. But with us at Ideal Testing and Services, you will leave with your certification.
Okay.
That certification is through the National Health Association.
Okay, so you did that at the completion of training. And I think that's new, because we send people to get certification in phlebotomy, and I don't think they get their exam right then and there. I think they schedule it separately. Okay, so if someone is interested, what are the basic qualifications for enrolling for training?
Very basic. You must be 18 years or older and having a high school diploma or GED. That's it.
Okay, no previous medical experience or work experience or anything like that?
Nope, you can be brand new to the field.
Wow. Okay, so then what's the cost of it?
So for a brand new person to the field with your book material, hands-on training, that cost is $1,275 total. Okay. And then we offer a refresher class now. So maybe there's a lot of different ways to learn now. And what I'm hearing is there is an online course for phlebotomy. Maybe you've done something like that, but you don't have the hands-on experience and you don't feel comfortable, or maybe you did that years ago and you want to get back in the field. So it's a shorter course. In order to get your certificate, it's about $575. And then if you already have it, but maybe it expired, you will qualify for that as well. But maybe you have it and you don't have enough hands-on experience. That one's just about $350.
Okay. Is there a minimum amount of hours or the experience you need to have to get the short course or refresher? Like, for instance, if you want to do a QMA training, you've got to have, I think it's like 80 hours or 40 hours of work as a CNA before you can become a QMA. Is there something similar to that with phlebotomy?
Yeah, so in order to participate in the refresher, we must be able to verify that you've had that previous education in the field,
Okay.
because that's gonna prove like that you have the certain amount of sticks that you need, which are venipunctures, which is the blood draw, or capillaries, which are finger sticks. And if you have an expired certification, we would need proof of that as well, just because we want to keep everybody safe, the person drawing the blood and the person getting the blood drawn.
So, but there's proof that you've done it or you had the certification, but what about working hours? Like if you got your certification 2 years ago, but you've never used it, do you need to have some proof that, you know, you've had some working hours at all, or just the certification?
No, yeah, just that you've received the education before, because, you know, things happen. Maybe someone's had a baby, or maybe they just kind of lost their niche for it or something like that. So yeah, if we could verify that you've actually had the education, we'll handle the hands-on stuff.
Okay, so when you come back for the refresher, you're going to get a chance to go through and do the sticks and stuff again.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I need somebody to have some, you know, not be they had a baby 2 years ago, and then I'm the first person they come to with that needle, and they've not had a refresher course.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 6 weeks. The initial cost is $1,275. The refresher cost could be somewhere between $350 and $575, depending on your individual circumstances.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So how does somebody go about enrolling or getting in your class?
So within those prices, they have a registration fee, which is covered, and you can't start until it's paid off, but you would simply reach out, and whether that be coming by the office, or calling us, you could contact us.
Where is your office?
So our office is located at 3410 North High School Road, and that's Suite G.
Okay.
And then if you just want us to call, a person could call just 317-402-4263. And then we could talk about it in that way. We do have an Instagram page. It is Ideal Testing and Services, just as the name of the company. And so we're promoting there as well. I do have an instructor's page. It is Mimi, the MA instructor, on Facebook. And so we're reachable everywhere. We have a website. You could Google us, Ideal Testing and Services as well. And then we'll just get you started, just as sure as you're ready.
Okay, so when is your next class?
Our next class starts August the 31st. And then classes are on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Okay, so if you're working regularly full-time Monday through Friday, then you could still participate in this training.
You sure can. And then we're looking to adjust just based off of, how popular that class is. If we have a group that says, hey, Monday evenings work better, we'll start a Monday evening class too. The refresher class is shorter. It's only about 4 hours, and then we'll do those from 5 to 9 on Thursdays.
Okay, perfect. I was going to ask you something else. So it's 6 weeks or six Saturdays. It's 6 Saturdays. Okay, perfect. You know what, Mimi, this has actually been so much better. I got so much more information than I thought I was going to get about this. And I'm just really happy to know that, your program is supported and regulated by DWD, Department of Workforce Development. So you guys aren't just some pop-up shop that nobody knows about. You guys are legitimately prepared and ready to welcome students and start the training.
Yes.
And then I will just go out there and say that people that are interested can come to Mary Rigg, and if you qualify for our program, we'll be able to help cover the cost or offset the cost of that training, because we want to make sure people understand what we're doing. Perfect. So you know what, Mimi, this has been great. Thank you so much. Our producers popped in. I don't know what that means.
Thank
That
you.
means that, you know, we're near the time of this great ride, and it's been a beautiful show. But Mimi, I think more importantly as well is to let people understand how serious you have to be if you're really going to go into certain fields, and testing and drug testing or whatever is going to be administered. You do not have a shortcut. You're going to have to change your lifestyle patterns more than likely, because you can't get around the testing that is out here now.
You can't do it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies.
Oh, Mimi, I do have one other quick question though. Just because it's a healthcare industry, so what about people that have some type of background wanting to be a phlebotomist? What does that look like?
I think that I need to do a little bit more research with that, and I think that it's perfectly okay. It just depends on the employer that they're going to try to gain employment with. Some jobs, it's just specific things they're looking for, and some jobs, you know, they're just like, no. So
perfect. Well, we'll be in touch and we'll talk about that in a little more detail. And I'm going to invite you to come and speak to our participants at an orientation. So this has been good. I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. Thank you so much for your time and expertise. And we're going to be in touch. So you're listening to Rigg Works Radio coming live from Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center, 1920 West Morris Street. And I will just throw this out here, starting August 26th, we're going to start having something called Job Club. So for individuals that are just looking for a job, don't necessarily want to go through our full programming and go through training, you're just looking for a job and you need some help with creating a resume, learning how to do online job applications, how to participate in a job fair, reach out to us about that. That's going to start August 26th at 10 a.m. So maryrigg.org will be happy to share that information with you. So we're going to come to the close of our show today. Thank you so much, Mimi Sanders from Ideal Testing Services. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Rigg Works Radio from Mary Rigg Neighborhood Center.
All right. Thank you both. Thank you.